Okay. Good morning, everybody. I'm Adrian Rodriguez, Director of Music here at Emerson Unitarian Universalist Church in Houston, Texas. Our beloved community of faith, reason, and affection welcomes all to grow in mind and spirit as together we build a better world. If you're joining with us for the first time this morning, we extend to you a special welcome and invite you to fill out our online visitor card so you can receive more information about Emerson and our activities. Again, welcome to all. You can find that link in the chat. Today, our interim minister, the Reverend Michelle LaGrave, leads worship with support from me and fellow Emersonians, Cynthia Miller, Michael Bloom, and Jill Rose. Jill Rose will be helping us out on Tech Deck today. You'll notice that we've muted you. This helps all of us to hear the service better. And we encourage you to use the chat box and react to any of the stories or the readings that you hear today. Following the worship service, we'll have coffee hour, which is an opportunity to have some unmuted conversation in smaller groups to discuss the service or what may be going on in your lives. I'm going to turn it over to Michelle.
They will march, walk, wheel, dance, shimmy, and shake, block upon block of undulating color, flesh, banners, signs, clothing, or lack thereof. Hands raised, hands linked, apart, together, singing, shouting, chanting, silent. Joyous, tearful, nervous, afraid, proud, defiant, angry, happy, delirious, tentative, ecstatic, courageous, brave, free. The stereotype, the unrecognizable, the flamboyant, the ordinary, the parent, the child, the runaway, the lost, the lonely, the found. Gay, lesbian, bisexual, trans, queer, intersex, questioning, allies. Those who taunt and jeer, their banners of hate 10 feet tall. God made Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Burn in hell. The other slogans, straight but not narrow. I love my gay child. Standing on the side of love. One day a year, 1 out of 365, Mardi Gras out of season, festive, bacchanalian, tame. Booths, food, shopping. Underneath, there is a history. Resistance. It was the marginalized of the marginalized. Drag queens, transvestites, the butch and the femme, who unlike Rosa Parks did not sit down, but in their tired rage stood up, rose up, fought back, holding the police captive in the bars they had come to raid, their weapons, their oppression, their hands, beer bottles, Stonewall. 6 days of riots in New York, June 1969. A year later, a march in Philadelphia, New York, Chicago, LA, San Fran. And now, any weekend in June, anywhere around the world, Pride. Why do we march? For those who are not able, for those who have been murdered, for those who are ravaged by disease, for those who are still beaten, still taunted, still harassed, still victims, still targets. Why do we march? because some truths ain't self-evident, because all men ain't protected equal, and we love a good party. They will march, walk, wheel, dance, shimmy, and shake, block upon block of undulating color, flash, banners, signs, clothing, or lack thereof. Hands raised, hands linked, apart, together, singing, shouting, chanting, silent, joyous, tearful, nervous, afraid, proud, defiant, angry, happy, delirious, tentative, ecstatic, courageous, brave, free. Welcome to Pride. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, wherever you find yourself on your life's journey, whichever your pronouns, whether you've walked in or rolled in or dialed in, whomever you love, you are welcome here. People sometimes ask, is Pride a protest or a party? And the answer, of course, yes. And why not? Rejoice as we resist, dance as we demand change, celebrate as we create community that delights in all of who we are. So bring all of that with you this morning. Bring your policy demands, bring your glitter, and I brought mine. Bring your Supreme Court broken heart, bring your rainbow socks, bring the emptiness you feel for our siblings gone too soon. Bring your Gloria Estefan remix, bring your tender hope for change, bring your most garish eyeshadow, bring your spirit, tattered and battered by a world that seems insistent on choosing fear and hate. Gather up all these things and bring them here to a place where we don't have to shoulder these burdens or celebrate these joys alone. Come, let us worship together.
Every Sunday, Unitarian Universalists across the country and around the world light a chalice as a symbol of our faith. If you have a chalice of your own at home or perhaps a candle, we encourage you to grab that now while I read the chalice lighting. We light our chalice flame for those who lived their lives in closets of shame, for those who furtively visited the bars where nobody knew your name, for the Stonewall riot and the fierce trans women who fought, for the plague, which still takes far too many, too young, too soon. So many gone, so many never lived to see out gay kids singing on TV, out gay people serving in the military, marriage equality, families formed by intention. We light our chalice flame for all of these and for all our siblings of the rainbow, surviving, living life out in the open with pride. And now if you would join us in singing our opening hymn, Come, Come, Whoever You Are.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, lover of living, causes no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, wherever you are, wander, walk, lover of living, causes no caravan of despair. Come yet again, wherever you are, wherever you are, causes no caravan of despair. Causes no caravan of despair. Come yet again, wherever you are, wandering, worshiping lover of me, causes no caravan of despair. Come yet again,
On a holy night in 1969, in an inn, also known as a bar, called the Stonewall Inn, a basement, which had no running water, no safe fire exits. Queer people of many colors and kinds danced together, for it was the only place where they were allowed to dance, at least permitted to, by the mafia who ran the inn. In those days, it was common for the police to frequent this inn, not to join in the dance, the underground celebration, but to send the dancers home and make arrests. When they would arrive, the lights would go on and the people would be lined up, and then all those in drag and all those who were trans, all those without proper identification, they were all arrested and taken into custody. But on this holy night, that early morning of June 28th, the people said, "Not tonight." And as they called them to line up, the trans women refused to go. As the police began to beat and arrest them, as the people spilled out from the bar onto the street, Christopher Street, a crowd grew to watch. And then, as trans women, lesbians, and gay men were getting arrested, a yell came from the crowd, "Gay power!" As a trans woman was shoved, she shoved back, and the crowd began throwing bottles at the wagon, and suddenly it erupted. For once, the people didn't line up. For once, the people said, "No more, we've had enough." It was almost as if that night, being pulled out of the darkness of the underground at the Stonewall Inn, one too many times, they said, "I'm ready to be seen." On this holy night, when the power of the oppressed rippled through the streets of New York, when queer people said, "No more," our world would never be the same. 50 years ago, it was illegal to be gay, to be trans, to dance and to love and to celebrate. And only now, 50 years later, here we are celebrating at a church. Gay and straight together, queer and straight together, trans and cis together, all in this together. And so as we hear these stories of life and love and defiance and celebration, let us also remember and pay tribute to our movement ancestors, many of them trans women of color who led the first rebellion that night. You see, Pride is a celebration of that anniversary, the anniversary of that riot at the Stonewall Inn in New York City, a holy night. So, happy Pride. Welcome to this joyful celebration, and bring your whole selves. your gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, queer selves, your drag queen, butch, and femme, cross-dressing, nail painting, tutu-wearing selves, your queer gender, gender fluid, asexual, pansexual, quilt bag selves, and all the other identities that are and will be. And let's have a celebration, because joy is a rebellion too. And this church is queer and fabulous. Amen. Let us begin.
Hi, I'm Michael Bloom. I am cisgender. This means that I am on the same side of the gender I was assigned at birth, based on my body's physical configuration. I am a heterosexual white man who uses the pronouns he and him. In the 1970s and 80s, when I was in elementary school, middle school, and even high school, my classmates would frequently say, "That is so gay," when they wanted to express dislike for something. They would say, "You're so gay," to express dislike for a person. And I regrettably said these things also. I was not aware that anyone around me was lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or queer, or questioning. I had no clue. In the 1980s, when I was in college, I met out lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer or questioning people for the first time. I tried to date a cisgender lesbian woman who had to sit me down one evening to explain why we needed to be just friends. Young, single, sexually active people everywhere were very worried about getting AIDS. Back then, I had just a little bit more of a clue. In the 1990s and the 2000s, in my 20s and 30s, I occasionally met and became friends with more lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, or questioning people. I became friends with a cisgender gay man from England who married a cisgender heterosexual woman to obtain US citizenship. And his wife then dated my best cisgender male friend from college. I was starting to have a bit more of a clue. In the second decade of this new millennium, my oldest child started attending high school. We saw the children of families we knew transition from one gender to another. We knew others who were coming out as gay or lesbian or non-binary. During my child's high school years, our family saw lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning people struggling with how to exist in a society that did not understand their reality, did not know they existed, and in some cases actively hated them. The city of Houston tried to pass an equal rights ordinance that protected these people, but it was defeated by stoking fear and hatred of differences. And I continue to reduce my level of cluelessness. After joining Emerson in 2016, I met and interacted with more lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer or questioning people, some of whom you probably know also. My knowledge continued to grow. At a pre-pandemic Thanksgiving a few years ago, who remembers what year that was? My parents, my sister, my kids, my niece, and others had a heated discussion about pronouns and whether he, him, or she, her, or they, them should be used in any correspondence, email, social media, letters, or anywhere. I said I was scared to add my pronouns to my signature and my social media because I thought it would hurt my professional engineering reputation, that people might not want to hire me or my company to provide professional services. After thinking about this more, I realized that taking that small action, even if it slightly adversely impacted me, was important. I realized that the adverse impacts I might suffer were nothing compared to the daily social slights microaggressions, discrimination, and blatant attacks experienced by people that lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, or questioning people. So I added he, him to everything that I do. My social media, my emails, my formal letters, LinkedIn profile, everything. More knowledge, but now a little bit of action taking. During our discussion about Emerson becoming a formal part of the Memorial Assistance Ministries, I asked my oldest child if I could tell her their story about being a cisgender female lesbian. Just by asking that question, I learned that my oldest child is currently questioning their gender. So only a few weeks ago, I further reduced my cluelessness, and I learned something about my oldest child. To prepare for our last congregational meeting and in its aftermath, I read various publications about how to be an ally. More learning. But I also voted against the postponement of our decision to join MAM for the reasons I noted in the document I shared with everyone. I took action. Even this legislative session, I called elected officials to urge them to oppose a proposed discriminatory law about sports. More action taking. I started to consider myself an ally, but what does it mean to be an ally? One viewpoint is that becoming or being an ally is a journey or a process. So where will you be on your ally journey this Pride Month? Where will you all be on your journey in next year's Pride Month? Can Emerson be so truly inclusive and welcoming that Emerson as a whole behaves like a super ally and is composed of straight, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, or questioning people? How will Emerson celebrate Pride Month next year?
Thank you, Michael. Giving out of what is our own is a transformative act. As a community of faith, we collect an offering not for ourselves or our congregation, but to give to others as a collective action of our community and as a way to live out our shared values. Please give with a generous heart to support the June Share the Plate recipients, Citizens Climate Education. Citizens Climate Education is a nonpartisan grassroots advocacy organization that empowers individuals to educate key stakeholders, policymakers, and the general public about effective solutions to climate change. By training and mobilizing a powerful coalition of climate advocates, CCE builds political will for long-lasting climate solutions. And as always, 25% will go to Interfaith Ministries Meals on Wheels, feeding Houston seniors. We have 3 ways to give. You can text the number on your screen, go to our webpage for online giving, or if you prefer, you can mail a check to the church. We are still going and in fact, very excited about reopening. So you can find the portal in the chat. Thank you for sharing as you are able.
Please find a comfortable place to be or in your seats and place your feet flat on the floor if you can, so that you might feel grounded, more connected to the earth which nourishes and sustains us all. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so, and take a deep breath in. As together we enter into a time of prayer followed by silence. Gracious God, is it the glitter? Some people think that it's the glitter that makes the Pride Parade like heaven. Pearly gates and streets of gold. Surely heaven has as much glitter as a Pride Parade. There's definitely enough glitter there to make a person believe that the Pride Parade is like heaven. Some people, of course, do not think the Pride Parade is like heaven. After all, who would let all these people in? Surely there's some kind of form to fill out. One must be given clearance and at least abide by the dress code. Speaking of, what is the dress code for heaven? What documentation is required? Of course, this is the strongest argument that the kingdom of heaven is like the Pride Parade. All are welcome. We don't get to decide who is in and who is out. Everybody's in. Everybody. Or maybe it's that the kingdom of heaven is like the Pride Parade because it is a protest against bigotry, against hate, against fear. A protest against being someone you aren't, against the idea that only some of us are worthy. A protest against anything that does not lift up love. That's quite the parable, isn't it? The kingdom of heaven is like the Pride Parade, where all are welcome and love wins. We'll know it by the glitter and the love. Thanks be to God, and amen. Amen, and blessed be.
You with the sad eyes, don't be discouraged, oh I realize it's hard to take courage in a world full of people. You can lose sight of it all. but I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. The true colors are beautiful like a rainbow. Show me a smile. Don't be unhappy. Can't remember when I last saw you laughing. If this world makes you crazy and you're taking all you can bear, you call me up because you know I'll be there. And I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. Your true colors are beautiful like a rainbow. If this world makes you crazy and you're taking all you can bear, you call me up because you know I'll be there. And I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid. Let them show your true colors. Your true colors are beautiful like a rainbow.
People sometimes ask me, is this a gay church? It is my privilege to answer. Ours is absolutely, gladly, hopefully, humbly, gaily a gay church where everyone, including heterosexual members and friends, are welcome, where everyone is needed, where everyone's experience is cherished as a sacred text, because no one's experience of living or loving can be comprehensive, because each of us holds clues to that the others need to, I'm so sorry, need about how to live with dignity and joy as human persons. And none of us knows enough about that yet to be considered whole. It is absolutely a gay church, even as ours is a gay world. If you would look around, gay church, straight church, people's church, a human congregation made holy by the holy hopes and fears and dreams of all who wish to come. Come in, we say, come out and come in. We're all in this together. I will not speak of tolerance with its courteous, clenched teeth and bitter resignation. I will not speak of acceptance of other people and an other kind of lifestyle. I can only look in languishing wonder at human life in all its incarnations. I can only taste in passing the breath of the spirit of life on my mouth and understand our common longing to breathe in deep, deep gulps of it. I cannot think of anybody else's ally even, because even that applies some degree of separation, some degree of safety for some of us, not all. We are allied with no one and with nothing but love, the larger love, transcending our understanding, within which all of the different, differing, gorgeously variant, beautifully deviant aspects of ourselves are bound in elegant unity. I know that on some sad and disappointing days, these words describe the church that yet shall be and not the church that is. I know. But I know too that to answer is an act of creation. To answer this question and some others is a privilege, a prophetic imperative, a joy, a duty, a holy sacrament.
I am a Gen Xer. The world I grew up in was radically different from the world as it is now. I came of age during the AIDS epidemic, a time when young people were taught that sex and drugs could kill. I did not know a single out lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or queer person until I went to college. Even then, the full rainbow of identities as they are now was not yet known to me. I went to seminary in my 30s. Once there, my world opened up in so many ways. I met people who were out as transgender, out as pansexual, out as openly questioning, out as polyamorous for the first time. And I met my first girlfriend. It happened one day at the beginning of the fall semester. I headed off to class with my closest seminarian friend, a gay married man. We were talking about sexual attraction and a friend who is currently struggling with understanding how it works and who she might be attracted to. As we walked into the classroom, a class on pastoral care for GLBT people, my eyes were immediately drawn to a person sitting toward the middle of the classroom. I had met the person who would become my first and only girlfriend. You know him as Micah. We got to know each other over the course of the semester, as people do. I fell in love with him and his dog, Naomi. My coming out as gay made some waves on campus, more because it was exciting news than anything else. My seminary was a fairly welcoming place. They were teaching pastoral care for GLBT people, after all. It was in my personal life that I felt the most trepidation. Even when I had every reason to believe my coming out would be accepted, I still feared the results. I especially feared that I might not be allowed to have a relationship with my nephew, who was then still a child. My mom, of whom I am very proud, welcomed me and my girlfriend with open arms. We lived with my mom for a while after we graduated from seminary. That is when Micah came out as transgender and changed his name to Micah. My mom supported us through it all, and he took our last name when he changed his first name. We were to be married soon, and it made more sense to do it all at once. The next summer, we headed off, again with some trepidation, to get our marriage license. At that time, gay marriage was newly legal in Connecticut, but not in the nation. And we were worried about what kind of reception we would get with Micah's fairly new gender identification papers. And it quickly became apparent that there was some kind of issue with our paperwork. As it turned out, there was some concern that ours was an incestuous relationship. With our fear over and focus on the gender identity question, we had completely forgotten that our marriage license application would show us as already having the same last name. We now joke that it was a good way to distract the licensing officials from the gender identity question, and now lives on as a humorous story in our shared history. We were married that summer in a beautiful day-long potluck party on the beach, in shorts and bare feet, standing in the water. And my friend Craig, the one who accompanied me to class that day, served as my matron of honor. That was a decade ago. Our lived experiences as individuals who identify as queer and as trans and as a couple have not all been humorous, of course. Relationships with family have been strained. Micro and macro aggressions have been experienced. A quality of health care has been suffered. A job has been lost. While we are and have been committed to being out throughout our shared journey, there have also been times when we have not felt emotionally or physically safe to be out or to hold hands in public. Each new situation comes with its own set of decisions, especially when we find ourselves in proximity with people known to have extremely conservative or fundamentalist views. There has been much joy and some fear, much openness and some hiddenness. One especially poignant paradox of our relationship is that Micah's transitioning to a masculine gender identity so he can more authentically express who he is has had the result of us appearing to those who do not know us or who do not know how to look for the signs to be a heterosexual couple, thus sometimes masking my identity as queer. I tell you this story not for me, not because it is about me or Micah, not even for you, our cisgender and heterosexual allies, though you may find value in hearing it. I tell it for all those who need to hear it, all those who are struggling to understand who they are and whether there are people like them out there somewhere. I tell my story for all those who are already living out loud. I tell my story for all those who are afraid, who fear losing their family, their friends, their jobs, their homes. I tell my story for all those who need to celebrate who they are, maybe even for the first time. Rejoice. You are beautiful. You are loved. You are whole. You are holy. And you can be anything you want to be, even a queer minister. May it always be so.
Blessed are you, awakener, life of all worlds, who remove sleep from my eyes and slumber from my eyelids.
Blessed are you, generous creatrix, who stretches forth the earth upon the waters.
Blessed are you, sacred flame, who shines your light upon everyone and everything.
Blessed are you, wings of gold, who crowns my people, all people, with splendor.
Blessed are you, holy fashion designer, who delights in the way we dress ourselves as altars.
Blessed are you, nameless and infinite, who has made us in your image and reminds us that all bodies are sacred and holy. Boom, boom.
Blessed are you, liberation worker, who moves us to stretch and expand towards freedom.
Blessed are you, divine apple orchard, who delights in my delight and receives my pleasure as praise.
Blessed are you, the way, who meets me where I am.
Blessed are you, holy breath, who fills me with this gift every day.
Blessed are you, abundance, for helping me remember I have everything I need.
Blessed are you, source of life, who I draw upon for strength, and who reminds me that rest is a sacred act.
Blessed are you, fabulous one, who loves me just as I am.
Blessed are you, weaver of being, who shaped the human being with wisdom, making for us all of the openings and vessels of the body. It is known that we are miracles, and that all bodies are miracles.
Blessed are you, you of many names, for revealing infinite paths of healing.
Blessed are you,
you of many names,
for revealing
infinite paths of healing.
Blessed are the wanderers seeking affirmation.
Blessed are the worshipers praying from closets, pulpits, pews, and hardship.
Blessed are the lovers of leaving family and familiarity, leaving tables where love is not being served.
Blessed are those who stay. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for justice, for they will be satisfied.
Blessed are the queer, disciples of truth, living, breathing, sacred reflections of divine love. Let us now sing together our closing hymn, number 170. We are a gentle, angry people.
Gentle, angry people.
Our benediction this morning is a responsive one. And as Pride is all about living out loud, I invite you to join Adrian in loudly proclaiming the response, which is, may we live the spirit of pride. With gratitude for the freedom to be our true, authentic selves.
May we live the spirit of pride.
With the courage that comes from challenging fear.
May we live the spirit of pride.
With sorrow for those who could not be here with us today, and in honor of those who died of AIDS or who lost their lives.
May we live the spirit of pride.
With grief for those whose pain was unbearable and who left us too soon.
May we live the spirit of pride.
Looking ahead to the justice still withheld.
May we live the spirit of pride.
With the confidence that a sense of community banishes isolation and loneliness.
May we live the spirit of pride.
With the rainbow flag flying high, a sense of beloved community among us, and the joy that comes from making new connections.
May we live the spirit of pride.
It's time for our announcements. First of all, I saw in the chat there were some questions about how to share this service. Yes, you can go to Emerson's website. It'll take a couple days for this one to get posted. We also have an official channel on YouTube. So if you search for Emerson UU Church in Houston, Texas on YouTube, you will find it posted right there. You can subscribe and get every video we put out.